They're pretty much the same. No, the Kalista was something that I wanted to talk about, but we're going very quickly through the bans. You can see Kalista was taken off the board. I think she's very strong in the current meta. She's sort of risen to priority, along with the Senna and the Syndra banned on the side of SK, with Ornn, Pantheon, and Ezreal banned. And yes, the Aphelios does take me by surprise a little bit. I think that champions like MF should still be high priority. I think Ezreal should also be really high priority, but it seems that Han Sama wants to still stick to his comfort. But I believe the champion should be a lot weaker in the early laning phase now.
I can definitely see that. With the Ezreal being banned away, with Kalista removed, Senna removed, you are falling down that tier list of AD carries, so the option of, an MF or an Aphelios, obviously Rogue decided Aphelios was more important. SK lock in the Varus, Lee Sin, and Gangplank, where we're going to see Sejuani for Inspired, and Larson or Finn taking Irelia.
So it's important to note that Death's Dance was also changed on this patch, and there was a big Blade of the Ruined King buff on the last patch. Now, we did see Camille rushing Blade of the Ruined King last week on the LEC, and as a result of this Blade of the Ruined King rush, we're seeing some other champions return to the meta like Irelia. Now, the great thing about Irelia is she can be flex-picked between mid and top, so depending on the matchup that Rogue want to put this champion into will depend on what the opponent draft. But we know Finn is an Irelia player. It's something that he is very comfortable on, so my base expectations are that they want to put it in Finn's hands, but we'll see how the rest of the draft plays out.
Yeah, I could see that. I think Finn very comfortable on those sort of bruiser / dive the backline champions, things like the Aatrox, like the Aurelia, and with Azir, Braum being banned away, Cassio being banned away as well, I think we're probably expecting that Aurelia to go towards the top lane. But final ban here for Rogue, could focus towards the mid once again if they wanted, could remove another support from the pool and try and pinch SK's pool that little bit, but SK of course have first pick when we get out of this second ban phase.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think that right now, Rogue is feeling pretty comfortable with the draft they have. The early blind Lee Sin coming out from SK means that the Sejuani could come through, and I think that typically Sejuani is a pretty solid matchup, because unless the Lee Sin has guaranteed prio in a lot of his lanes and gets assistance with the invade, it's very easy for a Sejuani to escape and maybe even outduel the Lee Sin in some situations, depending on her health state. So I think that the Sejuani pick is good. It offers scaling, offers engage. You can kind of see from Rogue's lineup that they actually have a pretty solid mid to late game with their current setup. SK have a little bit more early game power, especially with this Varus Thresh that they've drafted for themselves. And I think that this is already setting up for SK to try and play through their bot lane, try and play through Crown Shot, who has been one of the standout performers of the split.
Oh, lock it in. This is Maokai support, Betty. This is Maokai support.
I don't think it is. I think
no, it's either Maokai or Set. Okay, 100%. Right?
I think it's Set support.
I have been seeing a lot of Maokai support recently, and it is flipping annoying to play against, because you can't poke it out of lane because it has sap magic and it just heals up the entire time. It has instant lockdown. It has follow-up for something like a Sejuani. I would love Maokai support here. I think it works just as well, and if you're willing to take Set into Gangplank in the top lane and try and harass the Gangplank down, that's actually a good lane for the Set as well. Rogue could have gone 5-head. They could have totally big-brained this draft.
Well, let's see.
If it's not Maokai support, I'm going to be so sad.
I think right now the Irelia is going mid. I think, of course, top and support can be swapped, right? I was speaking to Odoamne at length about the Maokai, and right now pros think that Maokai is actually really good, just in general. They think it's a pretty safe blind pick, because it can be flexed into multiple roles. The roles I heard was mainly top and mid. I hadn't heard them talk a lot about support, but that's not to say that it can't go in that position.
So in Diamond 4 is like
we see all kinds of crazy stuff appear in pro play medic, so I'm not going to count it out yet. But given that we have just past the 20 seconds, now I can. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing any Maokai support medic. But we can talk a little bit about why Maokai is good into Gangplank. And it's really interesting, because when I was speaking to Odo, I think that in many ways, Maokai can actually...
Oh, I'm going to take over from you there, Veddy, for a second, because there were things happening. So, yes, Maokai can be very good. Obviously, in the top lane, you can harass down something like a Gangplank. Even if you take some damage, you heal up with your sap magic. So that top lane 1v1 is actually okay for the Maokai. And having the lockdown when you can follow it up with something like a Sejuani makes things a lot easier for ganking. You can actually shut down a Gangplank quite effectively in the early game and stop him getting towards the Trinity Forces, the Infinity Edge, these big power spikes that you want for a Gangplank. The rest of the lineup, though, I like the LeBlanc mid for SK. I think that can do a lot of damage as well. But I wonder whether SK, who early on in the draft we said wanted to play through their bottom lane, will be able to actually get ahead against something like a set support who is very good at healing up, especially against the poke of something like Varus. I believe
Medic,
that Ender
you're
is going
saying
to join me.
so many
Hey, buddy.
great things right now, Medic. I would love if you could continue to break down the Maokai support for me, even though that's not being played. I just know you and Vedius were having a lengthy discussion about that earlier. No?
I'll talk to you about it now if you want. But I was waiting for the cool intro graphics we have there, Ender.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't deliberately ignoring you. I will say my final thing about Maokai support. It's fun to play. You should definitely play it. If you enjoy engage supports, Maokai support, people aren't expecting it, and it's really good. And it's got long range engage, and it's really fun.
But can I please tell you about Maokai Jungle? Because that is also very, very fun.
Well, you can't, because I brought it up when it could have been a thing, and Maokai Jungle isn't going to happen in this game. So talk to me about these comps, because I was discussing with Benchius, Lagius.
Lagius, yes.
He left, yeah. How do you feel these compositions are going to work here? Because, of course, Rogue are still, contending for something, whereas SK, this is very much a game for pride for them.
So right now, I'm sort of trying to unpack everything going on because Rogue's comp is really interesting to me. They have tons of CC, like point and click CC as well, right? With like Settle plus Maokai, and like a really beefy frontline too. So their team fighting, I think, can be really, really exciting. Come mid game, they can force a lot, but SK have early game power, and that's what we're already seeing them go for this invade.
Yeah, they're trying to get in here, steal away the red buff if they can. There's a ward now down. Hans Summer trying to trade in as the red buff will reset, and I think SK will have to just be happy that they slowed down Inspired's path early on.
Oh, Inspired actually leaving the red buff there. Actually, I can't quite tell. He may have gone back
I think he's just leeched around the corner.
Yeah, but Trick is going to be slowed down here, which is a bit unfortunate for him, because I was thinking with this Lee Sin, you can try to take over, especially around mid lane in the early levels. LeBlanc offers so much gank setup for you, and especially versus the opponent being a melee mid laner, she's always going to have to like overextend to Everlast Hit on this Aurelia. So I'm sort of looking around this mid lane for Trick to get things done, but that may be hard since he's only cleared one camp in the first 2.5 minutes of the game, and there's a ward on that top side of the mid lane, which will spot him if he comes there after red.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be quite hard for Trick to get a good gank off. I was watching part of the Misfits pre-show earlier before the LEC started, and they were talking about Trick, and it's like, he used to have hands, right? This is quoting them. He used to have really good hands, and they just seem to have disappeared recently. And something like Lee Sin as a champion, you really need to have hands to master. So we'll see if he's found his hands again, or if he's going to struggle against Inspire. This is a nice little pass from him, getting in here, looking to steal away the blue.
The thing is, Inspired should tick over to level 3 after finishing off Gromp, so if you were to run into Lee Sin with red buff, I think you would win. But Trick has Smite, so he should be able to pick this one up. Still won't be level 3 himself, because he didn't include Krugs or Grump in his initial clear, but it looks to me like he's going to be going for a double Scuttle Crab path, which means that he's going to tick over to level 4 faster than Inspired. That's basically what that means if he goes for that, because Scuttle Crabs give you more EXP than like the base camps like a Wolf or a Wraith or even the buffs themselves, as he comes into mid lane for a quick second here, just trying to make sure he can get down to the river. But because he hasn't cleared any of his own camps yet, that are going to be respawning, like, they're not going to respawn, they're not going to be leveling up, so his next clear is going to give him significantly less EXP. So now I feel like you actually need to get something done with that quicker level 4, otherwise I'm going to be like, well, there's a Sejuani that's scaling up going towards 6, she's going to be pretty fine with that sort of a setup.
It's definitely the thing, is the cost benefit of, can I take my camps, do I want to get them leveling up quicker, or do I look for early plays? And of course, Lee Sin, a master of early plays, very good at getting into the lane. You can see the facebreaker here from Vando. He gets hooked up with the death sentence. Haymaker comes out and Limit flashes away. A sizable CS lead being built up here for Crownshot and Limit, but the Thresh there having to burn a summoner will make it a bit harder for him to lane against Vander now, because Vander can always just flash in and get the stun off on the set.
Yeah, I mean, you see why set support is considered strong by a lot of pro players too, right there. Whenever you go for these, all-in type of plays, he gets so much value. When two people hit him, when he goes for that big W, like, that's going to be a ton of true damage if he lines that one up. And also, he just can't get poked out of lane. Because of his passive that gives him so much innate health regen, the lower he gets, you're just not going to really be able to force him away. So he's going to be able to take trades like that, also soak up minion waves, freeze it in front of the tower, like you're sort of seeing Rogue go for now, and it gives you a lot of ability to control the wave.
Definitely does. I gotta see how it develops from here, because early on, we've seen back and forth in different lanes. There's a slight CS lead for Crownshot in that bottom lane, slight CS lead for Sakurai in the top lane, who hasn't really been harassed by Finn too much. Haven't seen Inspired on the top side of the map, as he was forced away from his blue early on, but overall, I think Rogue are very happy with how this game's playing out. Trick has gone double longsword alongside his machete instead of going up towards the skirmisher's saber early on. Inspired has got himself a Balmy Cinder, so that Sejuani clear is going to be a lot easier now. The Immolate passive, of course, introduced on 10.4, makes it so much easier for someone like a Sejuani to clear out that jungle rapidly.
Yeah. Okay, so Medic, I have a riddle for you, okay? A bit of a question. What do Vedius and EU West both have in common? Answer the question.
They're both prone to crash.
Yeah. Now, what is the difference between Vedius and EU West?
Vedius is back online.
Vedius comes back online. Welcome to the cast, Vedius.
What's up, friends? It's me, your boy Vedius. How's it going?
Thank you very much, Ender, for joining us, mate. I'll see you later. Welcome back, Vedius.
My router restarted. I don't know why. It just decided I need a break, but we're good. We're good.
It's practicing social distancing. You were getting too close, Vedius.
Catch me up. What is
so basically not too much has happened. Ender said a lot about jungle pathing, but really it hasn't.
Okay.
Nothing important happened there. So he was very, very, very adamant that Trick is now behind, which he is by half a level because he didn't clear his starting camps, but we'll see if it actually makes anything happen. We do see Larson going towards the Blade of the Ruin King, so that was interesting. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what I wanted to talk about in Champion Select, which is that the Blade of the Ruin King rush is a large part of what's brought Aurelia back into the meta. We talked about how she can be a pretty effective flex pick. And the other thing that I was talking about just as I got cut off was that Odoamne was talking to me a lot about Maokai top lane, especially into Gangplank. And he believes that when you get back into lane with things like a Balmy Cinder, you actually start to win that 1v1 matchup. And we actually got to see a bit of a skirmish between the two in the top lane. You could see how this Maokai was actually bullying out the GP, and this first item kind of really makes the 1v1 so much more difficult. But we can't focus on the top lane right now. We've got to talk about this bot lane. You can see the LeBlanc was hovering around. The GP has also hit level 6, so the ulti is available. Will SK actually look to execute the dive here?
Now, Vander has his flash and his ignite. Sentry goes down. They're looking for the damage on to Vander. Haymaker comes out. And Limit is chunked out once again. Here comes Inspired and Larson. They're running down. Control Ward is out. Looking for the slows, but of course Inspired can't be slowed. That passive doing a lot of work for the Sejuani. He flashes forward, but Limit able to escape the hook. Not quite going to connect. Larson jumping in straight, dives onto the backline and is exhausted. 2 turret shots will be enough to make it a 1-for-1.
So that was a bit of an overforce coming out from the side of Rogue. Double flash invested from both Inspired and Larson. Now they did get the kill onto Larson, which is always going to be great for this Aurelia, but it was at the cost of giving Crownshot a kill in return. So no real gains made for Rogue in that situation. And as we look back at this replay, you'll see that the initial hook coming out from Limit does go wide, which means that Handsummer doesn't get punished. They're not quite able to stun Limit underneath the tower. Of course, Vander isn't quite able to connect the second part of his E on the other side. Then Inspired comes in. You can see that as he uses the first part of his W, he's trying to connect it onto Limit, but a good sidestep there from Limit allows him to avoid that setup. And now you just see Larson hard committing to the play. He misses his stun onto both Trick and Crownshot as well, going a little bit short. So a couple of execution errors there coming out from the side of Rogue, and it ends up being a 1-for-1 overall. And you can actually see that SK sit with the gold lead for the time being.
Yeah, you can see actually Sakurai got some free time there up in the top lane. He's about 500 gold ahead of Finn now because he was able to take 2 plates and get some free damage as Finn went down towards the middle lane to try and hold. SK have already got the Inferno Drake here ready, which is why they can challenge this Rift Herald. Rogue rotated both Handsummer and Vander around that objective, but unable to secure it right now. And it's actually a strong lead for SK. Look at that CS difference in the AD carry. It's like you've got a Blade of the Ruin King on its way for Crown Shot. And although it wasn't buffed for ranged champions, it's still a strong item when you look at a Sejuani and a Maokai who are trying to run you down.
And we're actually seeing the Aphelios nerfs come through here, because one of the big nerfs, or the goals of the nerfs for Aphelios was to try and reduce the strengths of his early laning phase, and that's really hurt his ability to 2v2, of course, when paired up with the set as well. Handsummer is in a lot of trouble.
Has to flash away.
He does, and now he's alive.
He does, yeah. I was expecting you to go back to your point. Usually when something like that happens and nothing happens from it, you just go back to talking about whatever you were talking about.
Alright, so carrying on with that
paired up with the set.
Yeah, paired up with the set, you obviously don't have a huge amount of lane pressure because you're at a range disadvantage. And I think that Crown Shot and Limit have done a great job of utilizing that range advantage to try and build this CS lead. And then, of course, getting that kill off the back of it has only made this gap worse. Now, of course, Handsummer will still have a scaling value with the Aphelios. The primary goal of the nerfs was to hurt the laning phase, so it's not like he does 0 damage in the late game, but for the early to mid game portion, especially once that Blade of the Ruin King is completed, SK is going to feel very comfortable and very powerful as we enter that 15-minute mark.
Finn taking the bad side of a trade here with trade with Sakre. Sakre gets the Executioner's calling early on. He's also got a Sheen off that extra gold you got. And I remember you were talking about this earlier, Vedius, and how you discussed with Odoamne and Finn, on the Maokai should start winning trades. And that's all well and good, in my opinion. I understand that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But winning trades versus killing a Gangplank, those are two different things, right? And
yes,
if you're not killing the Gangplank or really putting him far behind, it's still Gangplank. He's still
but
scale incredibly well.
But so does Maokai, and that's the important thing, because when you sit there and think about what tanks offer in the current meta, you'd think that their damage isn't that strong. With the Balmy Cinder change and with the Sunfire Cape changes, there's a lot of additional damage that now comes out of tanks. And you've also got to take into consideration how much crowd control Maokai offers. And the great thing about Maokai is he can also build a Randuin's Omen. So the full crit builds that you normally see from top laners like Gangplank gets heavily mitigated by going for that Randuin's Omen. Which means that, at least when you speak to Odoamne, he tells me that he thinks in certain situations that Maokai can actually outscale the GP and just offer overall to the game. And I think this is a situation where, just due to the sheer amount of utility, we can see a situation like that. The problem that Rogue have to think about is how they're going to manage this 1-3-1 option that SK have, especially if this LeBlanc and GP get too strong.
Engage is going to happen here. It's the Lee Sin that's caught up, knocked back with the Showstopper, and Trick will go down. They're trying to get the Eye of the Rift Herald, and Genax will pick it up and jump out the back of the pit. The Cats are chasing down here, though, and Limit will be caught out. He's going to fall as well, you have to feel. Finn takes the kill. That long-range engage tool from the Nature's Grasp paying off.
Utility, medic. Utility. That's what's so great about Maokai, right? Honestly, I am a big fan of Maokai. I love this champion. I know many people think he's boring and not that fun to watch, but I love watching him because I think that he can do so much. His damage is surprisingly high, but it's all about the utility. His Q, his W, his ultimate, it just has so much setup, it has so many options. You can engage from the flank, you can engage from the front, you can engage from wherever you want just because of how versatile his kit is. And I think it makes it so easy for you to team fight, but it also gives a lot of setup for champions like Aurelia as well. Those champions that rely on that crowd control to close the gap, to stay onto those carries that they're trying to shut down.
Betty, Larsen's gonna die. Larsen's gonna die. He didn't realize that Sakre was waiting in the bush. He's trying to dodge around here, but there's really nowhere for him to go. And SK, they baited him in, and then they sprung the trap.
Yeah, I mean, SK is playing very well right now. They are making Rogue sweat for this, and a lot of it has come down to the early laning phase, and while the kills are in favor of Rogue, a lot of the objectives have been going over to SK, the early Infernal, the early Rift Herald. Now, Rogue is in a good position to secure themselves first tower. Ooh, they've actually invested the GP teleport up towards the top side. Genax,
that's not where you want to be. He jumps back, but he's going to get locked up with the permafrost. Jumping into a ward when you're on a ward.
He didn't know he was on a ward. He didn't know.
Yeah, but you have to expect those people waiting in that. If you don't see them, do you want to jump in? Especially against a set who has instantaneous lockdown.
Yeah. And I mean, Sejuani was also there.
Yeah.
So, a little unfortunate. Both mid laners giving up their life there when they didn't need to. But the idea was promising from Sakurai. He was TPing to top lane to keep the tower alive, to then set up the collapse with Genax. But of course, Genax springs the trap a little too early, ends up losing his life. The bright side for SK is they got the Mountain Drake, and they actually secured first tower in the bot lane. So they're sitting with an even gold between the two teams right now. And they still have an advantage bot lane. The GP yet to complete the Trinity Force, but I think that Maokai is going to start winning these 1v1 trades against the against the GP. He's going to need at least a Trinity Force before he starts comparing against this champ.
Yeah, and at the moment he's actually facing up into Genax on LeBlanc, so definitely winning those trades as well. I think my one goal for this cast is to see a Twisted Advance follow Genax like all the way across the map as he jumps. It's the little things that keep me entertained, Veddy.
The little things. No, I get it. I get it. When you're casting for a long time, you feel like you've seen it all. Something new has to
like an owl
come
fact.
across.
It just comes.
I'm not hitting you with an owl fact. I'm not hitting. I'm out. I'm dry. I've got none. It's over, medic. It's over.
How have you run out of owl facts?
I mean, no one's ever really run out of owl facts, but there's too many. There's a limit to how many owl facts people can take.
That is true. That is true. 15 minutes in, the game is pretty much even. Differences in the AD carry top lane role in terms of CS, but a couple of good turret plates, and the first tower going over to, I believe it went to Rogue, means that Rogue are keeping up in gold with SK. And I wonder if we're going to see Larson go for the improved or changed Death's Dance here with that. Oh no, because you can't get it out of Negatron. It builds out of Aegis. I saw Magic Resistance, I was like, ooh, Death Dance, but no, that's Aegis. No, this will be a Wit's End.
Probably Wit's End.
Yeah,
it's probably Wit's End. Because you could also, I don't think he's going to go Stone Plate, but that's the direction he could go with that itemization. But
could go QSS as well. Just QSS
could also go QSS. See, now I'm doubting myself.
Yeah, this is the problem. Usually I just look it up and I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely know this the entire time. But quick, Betty, talk about something.
All right, we're setting up for a play. Ultimate lands in the mid lane.
Chain of Corruption, that's gone, and there is the Dragon's Red kickback as Vander just gets popped before he can even land the Haymaker. Teleport coming in here as Larson tries to join the fight. Can't quite land the Flawless Duet, the stun's not going to connect, and the exhaust comes out. Genax just misses the chains, and the Vanguard's Edge goes a mile wide there from Larson. Trick's going to jump back in. Sakurai is on his way up, but not really too much to fight over right now.
No. That was a weird situation.
Yeah,
so
it's just a no magic mantle for Quicksilver Sash, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
I'm messing with you.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, you're putting doubt in my mind. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, in that fight, Rogue was not in a great position. They looked like that they had numbers advantage, so they felt that they could siege onto the mid-tier 1. The problem was that they were not in a great position to actually fight, because SK was collapsing on them from multiple sides. Trick and Limit came out from the brush, they were able to catch Rogue off guard, and that allowed them to get that pick. And then Larson, the execution of his Aurelia seems so off so far. We have seen very little that would really be inspirational, I suppose, as he's made a lot of blunders. Now, Genax in a lot of danger, but he is LeBlanc.
He is. He was able to dodge away a couple of times. Inspired's still chasing him down. Doesn't quite land the flash as Genax jumps away with a distortion. That was,
LeBlanc things, medic. That's just LeBlanc things. Now, Hans Sommer in danger.
Oh, good flash away. Good flash away. Limit a little bit too slow, I think, there with the flay, but Hans Sommer able to flash away in time.
So flash. Hans Sommer not in the best position there, but Rogue will push out that top lane. SK were also able to get another tower, so they currently lead with the towers. They've actually managed to build just under a 2k gold advantage. If we could swap over to the gold and have a quick look at the differences, I feel like Sakurai has been able to build up a pretty big advantage, because to me it feels like Finn has been grouping up a lot with his team, and this is something you'll see a lot from Rogue. Finn will just sacrifice waves to be a part of his team and set up plays, but if they don't actually make any successful... well, that's close enough to what you wanted to see, right?
Yep, I'm a happy lad now.
Alright, I'm glad. Everyone, Medic's happy after seeing that play. But yeah, you'll see Finn, group up a lot with this team. I mean, you can see it right now. You know, he's hanging around the mid lane. It's a little dangerous for him to go top lane and push out that wave, but his focus is to make sure that he stays with his team, and a lot of the side lane farm actually gets funneled into Larson instead. And you can see that difference starting to mount between the two mid laners. Larson now sitting at level 12. He will have just completed his Wit's End as well. And The risk of that is it allows enemy top laners to build a pretty significant gold advantage if Rogue never actually converts any of these plays into anything manageable. Now Finn, drawn underneath the tower.
Yeah, Genax looking for the chains, can't quite land them as Finn dodges to the side. And you can see Rogue trying to make plays, trying to get Finn there. Of course, the lockdown potential from a Maokai is devastating. But meanwhile, Sakurai pushing in bot lane. That's the third dragon of the game going over to SK as well. And they have a 2,500 gold lead here, Vedius.
Yeah.
SK in a very strong position and have to impress the importance of this game for Rogue. If they lose this and Mad win either of their last 2 games, there is no way that Rogue gets to 4th spot. And 4th spot vital to get double elimination through our playoffs. 5th and 6th only get 1 chance to get through. As soon as you lose, you're out. And
they didn't get it.
They didn't do it. Everyone
they
stopped
ran out of
attacking
time.
them.
No, yeah, you're right. They all were resetting because
Inspired's attacking it, right? But you have to get it before 90 and 55, otherwise it just despawns.
Yeah. All right, Medic. We got to take a breather here because SK is just smurfing on Rogue right now. They are punishing all of their mistakes.
Yeah, Rogue are also making mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, right? Like, this is a team that we touted as being clear 4th place, and right now they're not looking like a 4th place team. We questioned the early priority on the Aphelios because all the nerfs did hurt its laning phase, and now we're seeing the results of that. You know, Hansama got bodied in lane, and while Maokai can be a very strong into the gangplank, they didn't actually really set up any dives onto Sakurai. They've allowed Sakurai to just free farm. He's now has a level advantage on Finn, and while sure, Maokai can operate with very low amount of gold, you still also have to deal with a LeBlanc that you haven't been able to itemize yet, but now they're looking for the plays onto the gangplank. Teleport
coming in as Sakurai's locked underneath the turret. The cannon barrage has been used as well, and Sakurai's still alive. Glacial Prism will land onto a Trick as he is the sacrifice for the team. They lose 1, but Rogue have invested a lot into this fight. Genax trying to flash forward, lands the Q onto Larson, and now the rest of Rogue are running. There's the chains. Inspired just at the tip of it, just at the edge, is going to get caught, and the chain of corruption comes down, and that's 3 kills over to SK. They are destroying Rogue right now.
So what looked like Rogue trying to get back onto the map, they were like, okay, we need to be more proactive. Let's break this bot tier 1. They dive the GP. It looks like that they play well enough to even punish the counter from SK, but Hansama, he could now be in danger.
What's else? 1v1, you have to feel that the control.
Is it a 1v1, Medic?
Way. Oh dear God, Hansama trying to heal to get away, but he doesn't cleanse to get away, sorry, but he doesn't even have the flash, and now Finn is caught unawares as well.
Die as well.
They're just going in 1 by 1. This is the solo queue game from Rogue. They die piece by piece, and SK just lap up the pieces.
SK have only won 2 games this split, and now they could be in a position to deny Rogue 4th place in the playoffs. They could lose that bye in the playoffs, and this is going to be a ban for SK Gaming. So many mistakes have been coming out from Rogue, and SK have been punishing them beautifully.
Have to give, I've said it, you've said it, Rogue have made a lot of mistakes, but as you say, SK have played very, very well this game, capitalizing when Rogue overstep, and this is a key example of it, because Rogue have set this up for a long time. Look, there's only 2 SK players on this side of the map right now.
Yeah, you're completely right, Medic. The TP comes in immediately from LeBlanc. This is still, though, a 4 versus 3, and a really good ultimate there from Inspired to lock down Trick, meaning that they can get that instant kill. Gangplank is forced to back off. Janet can't do anything, but he's like, oh, Larson actually took tower aggro. He took way too much damage. I can flash in and kill him. Now Limit and Crown Shot have arrived, and the chain's range is so long that they're able to land the collapse. Vander cannot offer any protection, and that means that SK convert that into 2 kills. And then, of course, we know what happens next. Hansama, left all by his lonesome, he thinks he's safe, but he ends up getting flanked on by Sakurai. The angry pirate is saying, oh, do you remember me? Because I certainly remember you, as he chases Hansama down. And now we see another fight.
As Rogue try and engage, Glacial Prism is going to come out onto Crown Shot, but he uses the cleanse immediately. He is shut down, and SK have been caught unawares on the wrong side of the map here. Sakurai is up top lane without TP, and Rogue find 2 kills.
So, I feel like Rogue's game plan is, right, okay, we sent 4 people into the last play, we clearly needed 5.
Yeah.
So now, they've gone all 5 members, they send them down bot, they do secure 2 kills, but look at mid lane, look at top lane. SK is in a position to push these waves, and they're going to be able to convert it into an objective. All Rogue have successfully been able to do is deny a couple of Baron buffs. For SK, they're still in control of the game. They're still keeping up the pressure. The only thing they're lacking right now is some deep vision, but of course, their primary vision tool is dead, so I can't really blame them for that.
And there's 30 seconds on the next dragon as well. They've already secured 3 of them. This could be a Cloud Soul for SK. Now, they spot Vander going to the bush, maybe just think, hey, we can catch him out. They
Yes.
then see it too late. They see it too late, and the TP comes in behind them.
Exactly that, Medic. You hit the nail on the head there. They thought that they could find a pick. They thought they could be the ones to punish, but it was actually just a trap being set up by Rogue. A beautiful flank coming in from behind to allow them to find 2 kills. But that was a double TP investment, and now they do not have that when the dragon's spawning in 2 seconds. Look at where people are on the map right now, Medic. That is Aurelia's Larson in the top lane. Yeah, they're going to have to, because I don't think they're strong enough to be able to win 5v5 right now. They're 5.5k gold down. Medic, that's a half item, even a full item gap between some of the members on these 2 teams, and Larson's not even going to be able to convert it into a tower, so great stuff coming out from SK. Now they're in a position, they still have the Baron buff, it looks like they're going to keep the siege going.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get back in time. I'm not sure Rogue will be here in time. It's only Hans Summer. Now Vander joins the party. Oh, Finn was there, he was hiding under Hans Summer's shadow, but this inhibitor tower is going to go down. Genex does not have TP. If Rogue can force a fight, it would be a full 4v4. There's the Nature's Grasp, but all those cats can do is scare away SK for the second as they back away. And,
But SK
sorry.
won't be able to secure the inhibitor, which is the crucial thing here. Rogue invested that in order to buy themselves a little bit more time. We kind of think about the scaling, and we think about how strong these tanks are and how much of a frontline they can have, the amount of utility they have. Right now, there's just such a massive gold gap and experience gap that Rogue just need to hold the line to get to the point where they can actually start to win and look for these 5v5s, but they are not at that point just yet.
I guess the question is how long you can hold on for, because I know right now people at the Misfits house, people at the Mad Lions house are looking at this game and saying, hey, we could be gifted one here, right? Like Misfits, Rogue and Mad Lions all fighting for that 4th position. Mad Lions have a game in hand, but they play Fnatic and Origin this week. Misfits have a game against Vitality next, so they could tie up with Mad Lions. And Rogue would be relying on both Misfits and Mad to drop games and them to win their game tomorrow for them to have any chance of making it into 4th spot.
I mean, we think about it, Minik. Like, I believe Rogue plays Schalke tomorrow, yes?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And
Schalke
Schalke went 2-0 last week, and right now Rogue is struggling against SK, you know? When you think about it like that, even if Mad goes 0-2, if Rogue also goes 0-2, then Mad still finishes above them. So this is why these games are so important, and of course things not completely over yet for Rogue. Right? We've seen comebacks bigger than this. Rogue is a good enough team to know how to punish mistakes. But right now, SK isn't making that many mistakes. They have not been flawless, of course. They have been picked a couple of times, but they have such a healthy bed of goals to sit on. It's going to take more than just one mistake before they throw this game away. They're going to have to lose a Baron, lose an Elder, and then maybe lose another fight after that before they're really in some serious danger, because they are so strong right now.
So powerful. I'm wondering if SK are just waiting for the 3rd item spike. You can see Sakurai's actually just finished his GA. I wonder how far Crownshot is away from either a Bloodthirster or an Infinity Edge on Disvarus with him having a Vamp Scepter. I expect it to be the Infinity Edge, but the Bloodthirster, but it could be a GA as well, of course. Sitting on 900 gold right now, 1,000 gold lead over Hans Summer. And that 4,000 gold lead for Sakurai over Finn. As much as, you know, Maokai could scale better than Gangplank the later the game goes on, right now there's a big discrepancy between the two of them. Yeah, I'm not going to throw you under the bus like that.
No. You're totally right. It's one of those things where you can sit there and say, hey, Vayne outscales, like, Lucian or whatever, right? But if the Lucian has a 4k gold gap, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, it's
scaling implies they have the same amount of gold, I think.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. If the 2 champions are even, then one champion can offer more than the other, and if the Gangplank and the Maokai were even, then, you know, I'd be sitting there saying, hey, I reckon Maokai can actually win some trades. I reckon he can do pretty well here, but no, that's not the case. He's on limit, though.
Oh, good flash away. He didn't realize he was on a ward.
Okay.
Was able to get away, but it was greedy back place from limit, right? You can just go a little bit further back and be safer. Rogue might look for a fight as Finn uses the Twisted Advance to get away, but here's the Cannon Barrage. It's actually SK who are looking for the party. Crouch is going to get pulled in with the Lantern. Sakurai stunned up. There's the Glacial Prison on him as well. He's going to flash the Haymaker, forces Vander back to the Showstopper. He tries to get across the wall, but already the stopwatch has been used by Trick and he's still alive. Moonlight Vigil doesn't really connect onto anyone on limit, then hits the stun across the wall. Inspired dashes away with the Arctic Assault. But Rogue will just have to disengage and SK get a kill and get out.
Yeah, all of the ultimates were used on the side of Rogue. They no longer have their support. A couple of flashes available, but SK's in a prime position to be able to threaten the Baron, and you can see Hansama, he doesn't have the HP to be able to contest this right now, but they're going to try. They're going to TP back in. They know that if they lose this, the game is guaranteed to be over.
Here comes Finn trying to get in there with the movement speed buff. SK still on the Baron, starting to reset, looking for the fight as Limit steps forward. He hasn't got the hook right now, but Sakura can step in. Genax there as well. Finn misses the hook. Here we go. Finn gets hit with the Sonic Wave, the flash, the kick, straight back into the team, and now Finn is done for. SK find another kill and turn back towards the Baron.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. They've now killed one of the frontline members. Of course, Genax does need to reset. He's got some gold that he wants to spend. He has no mana, but he has the teleport. So, SK go back to threaten. As long as Inspired is alive, though, this is not a safe Baron.
I was looking for a ward from them, and it's all the way at the blue buff. No other wards there for SK around that he could TP to, but Rogue still looking for the fight. There's a Rabadon. There's a Rabadon on Genax. And Hansama feels the pain that comes with the Witch's hat. The Rabadon's death cap doing its work there, as SK will get the Baron for themselves. Second of the game and 30 seconds on the Elder. Is Inspired going to get out? Yeah, he's fine, as SK secure their second Baron of this game.
That right there is the LeBlanc signature trick. Make your opponent disappear. Really good back timing from Genax to be able to pick that one up. He had so much HP, and that just goes to show what you can do to a backline squishy if you're able to set up a really nice flank around all the tanks. With the Maokai gone, this is made even easier, and we'll get to see Genax set this play up here. Just look at how much damage he's able to throw out. Oh, he's even able to land the chains, which I think is absolutely crazy considering that Vander was standing right in front of him as well. Beautifully done from Genax. Now Larson is on the run.
Yeah, he teleported into this, trying to stop something from happening, but he's going to have to flash away. The Cannon Barrage should come out, and now SK have the advantageous position on this Elder Dragon. Hansama on his way, Vander there as well, but SK have started it up. Inspired across the wall looking for a steal. Seeing if he can get in, the Nature's Grasp will be used. Inspired, lands the Glacial Prism, but it's really not going to do too much. Vander now coming in from the side as well. They'll try and catch out Trick if they can. Vander there with a face breaker. Larson coming in with the Vanguard's Edge as well. The Showstopper's being used, but already Finn just loses in a 1v1 to the enemy AD carry. And that's not what you want from your tank. Genax is dominating. Rogue are decimated. They are destroyed and demolished here by SK. And this will be it. SK can just walk straight through the front door. Crown Shot flashing across the wall. Looking for the chase on Hansama, who will retreat back towards his base.
The pings are coming through. Genax is on the hunt. I don't know if Genax even has enough mana, but he's looking for it anyway.
I mean, all he has to do is get him to 25%, Betty. That's all he's got to do.
Oh,
he misses the chains! No, how can you do this to me? Hansama's going to die.
There it is.
Power of lasers.
And SK, they're going to make the upset happen. They're going to make that fourth place spot even harder for Rogue to get as they shut down Rogue. SK find the way.
It took them a while, but in week 9, SK finally come alive and get their third win of the season.
Wow, crazy stuff. And we have to criticize Rogue for honestly their disrespectful play. They tried to force so many dives, they made a lot of poorly executed plays, and SK just punished them time and time again. And, you know, yes, SK sit at the bottom of our table, but you can't just give a team that kind of gold advantage and assume they're not going to do anything with it. And Rogue got rightly punished. Larson did not have a good Aurelia game, whereas Genax had a fantastic LeBlanc performance. The Varus coming out from Crown Shot was also extremely clean. All round, beautiful stuff from SK.
And I believe you can vote for your Kia player of the game as well at Twitter if you want. Sakura, Genax, and Crown Shot are your options. Not often we get to say SK players' names, but they had a very good performance today, and they all deserve their moment in the spotlight.
Yeah, they certainly do. Make sure to head over to Twitter at LEC, as Medic mentioned. You can make sure you vote for your favorite, or who you thought was the best performing player. I was really impressed with Crown Shot, personally, but I think any of the three could definitely get it. And props to SK. You know, yes, they didn't have much to play for, but ruining the hopes and dreams of your opponents, making their run through the playoffs that much harder, still a pretty satisfying way to end your split.
Yeah, and after the break, we'll take an inside look at Misfits with Dan.